Zoom to YouTube stream. And it's going from Zoom to API. Okay. So this meeting's being live streamed. Okay, so everybody have their cameras on, those that are coming in. Participant is enabled, closed captioning. Let's show the captioning. So Alex and Mackenzie and Luca, Megan, TJ. Let's see everyone. Okay. And Jessica and Mackenzie. So we get everybody. Okay. Okay. So how are we doing, folks? Good afternoon. I'm coming down with something and I'm coughing. So I'll give you your assignments and I'll see how far we go. And I'll probably end class early today. Excuse me, but it's not a good day for me today, but the next day will be better. So, but I want to get everybody up and running. So last week, we had a Wix presentation where we're going to be able to do a website for our projects and upgrade. What I'd like to do for your Wix is to make sure that one person starts the Wix, gets everyone in the group to be co-owners, and I'll go over what I want from the group. Last time we had personal AI. So Dimitri, were you here for last time? I think you were, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay, what did you think? And the beauty here is I am not associated with those folks. I have no fiduciary interest. So I think it'd be interesting to see whether we should pursue more of those, looking at new products and get your feedback. So what did you think, Dimitri? We can be, in this case, they're not here, so we don't have to, worry about insulting people or giving them feedback. So what were kind of like the pros and cons, and what did you get from that session?
I thought it was interesting how you could program the AI to answer very simple questions about yourself. Like at the end, how we just typed in, tell me about yourself, and it would write the whole paragraph. So I guess that was a pro, is that the AI could do simpler tasks for you. But personally, I had a lot of difficulties with adding data to the AI to where it would understand the questions I was asking it. So I found a lot of the things I was asking it, it would give me wrong answers, even after I added the data that had my original introduction.
Right. So we need to practice. So what I'm having them do is they are going to upgrade everyone in the class. The problem is I gave them, before they got here, Dimitri, I gave everyone your email. So I'm having another student, Dylan Melnick, is going to send out an email to those that they weren't able to upgrade, either because you didn't log in when they did it, or you used another email than they have, or there was a problem. So by Wednesday, I'm going to have Dylan, you'll get an email from Dylan asking you with a spreadsheet to put in your login with your email that you'll do. After that, what'll be interesting, Dimitri, we'll see if we can upgrade, and they've suggested an assignment for us to do. And it'd be interesting to see, based on the assignment, what are the problems. You could see even sometimes it was hard even to get into their, in the very beginning, it was hard to get into their lounge. You remember, it was like private and we had to let them in. So I think they're like a beginning company. I think what's interesting is there's something called an LLM, which is a large language model. In AI, it's basically a large language model that they base their predictions on. They are not using, personal.ai is not using a large language model. They're using a small language model. So that's one of the reasons of the slowness of it. There may be the possibilities. When I was watching Suman, his personal AI, which he's probably trained a couple of months at least, I'm sure more than that, I saw mistakes in his. Like he said he was from Florida. Did you see that, Dimitri? He said he was from Florida. He said he was an attorney. I don't think he's an attorney. So one of the things about AI is it does predictions, and it could do what we call hallucinations. Have you ever heard of that, Dimitri?
Yes.
So hallucinations mean it goes off on a tangent. It gives authoritative answers, and it could not be correct. So we're seeing now more and more England and even the United States, Biden are starting to set up these basically initiatives to look at the security and the accuracy of these AIs and maybe basically give a stamp of approval, because you really don't know what's behind it. The essence here is interesting, is trying to train with your own data, where ChatGPT and Call Annie and Bard are not able easily to train. And so what companies, you'll see in the future, what companies want is that the AI will not only learn from me, but I can keep it private and I can do it. It's the beginning. So I think it's interesting. They have a long way to go, but I thought that was very nice of them to come in, and I'll share with you. So once we have everyone here and you can see my voices, we'll see how far my voice will take me. But let me just first share my screen, and I'll talk about some things that we want to do for the semester. And thank you so much for joining me. So let me go to my so we know that we are doing live. The other thing I just checked out were all of your groups. So the first thing is it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And can you be so kind for group 10, Abby, and group 11, change it to 9 and 10. So you can see on your groups there, we can have the right groups. And we have already, you can see under, I should have for each group, you should have under your group 1, you should have, these were your proposals, and you should have another folder of your final project proposal. What I suggest on your final project proposals, right even here is a good idea. Put your URLs. You can put in 2 URLs. You'll put in Wix, your free version, which you'll have Wix site, and also put your final version, and make sure you publish it. So this way I can see each of your group URLs. So you'll write under your final proposal, then everybody can see each other's final proposals. So in that case, I should be able to see, right, group 9 and 10. So at least we know that we can count, okay? So we'll need to have the final proposals. And let me go to our other site, which is my what's due section. And bear with me on the what's due. So for today, I gave you the Wix presentation PDF, so you can have it right there. The same thing that Ellery had given us before. We had that on our Wix presentation, and we have what's due today, the ERP. We talked about the ERP Wiley Plus adaptive assignment, and you should have had all your project approvals. If you have problems with your project approvals, stay with me and I'll go over that with you. What I've done is I've extended the date for next Monday. I'll have chapter 12, business analytics quiz, and Wiley Plus, the chapter 12 business analytic adaptive assignment. So if you can be so kind and check to see, I have the other end that you should be able to see the Wiley Plus, right? So the Wiley Plus should be the chapter 12, which this needs to make it available. So do you see it? Dimitri, do you see the Wiley Plus, the business analytics?
Yes.
Okay. Before it was hidden. So that should be available to you, right? And it should be at the end, the business analytics. Let me just make sure. Open the assignment. Right. And of course, no one has started because it just was posted, and one due date is Monday. This is the wrong date, right? So this needs to be set for next week, right? So this needs to be good that I check. Next step. 12. Next step. And then the due date here. And it should be next week, which is the 13th. Okay, and now save. Perfect. So that should be done. So that's for next week. Let me make sure. When I do J, what's due? The 13th. Good. And now let's check the quiz. Make sure the quiz is the right one. Assignments and quizzes. By the way, Lauren, did you try the that chapter today? Redo it, Lauren?
I tried to redo it, but it said like it just kept my same one.
It didn't format. It didn't reformat.
No.
Okay, so I'll manual. I guess I'll check with Blackboard if we can override that.
Well, like it changed the due date to this year, but it kept my old answers.
Yeah, but I wanted to up. But did you take it again?
No.
Okay. Remind me. Hold on 1 second. Bear in mind, okay? So let me edit the test options for quiz 12. Thank you. And extra credit, Lauren, for letting me know. Right? Anytime you correct me, right, Lauren, is extra credit. Everybody hear that? It's extra credit if you correct me. So this we need to change to for the 13th at 5 and submit. Okay. All right, this is an announcement. Let me just put this in my notes here. And that was chapter 10, right? chapter 10 ERP, check to see what grade you got on it. What did it say for you when you took it, Lauren?
It just said needs grading or something.
Needs
but
grading.
The answer.
So check if you've done chapter 10 and it says check to see if it says needs grading. If it does, take it again. Okay, Lauren? So take it again. Everybody understand? If it says needs grading, what was the problem is it was the wrong date, and Lauren let me know about it. Some of you took it later than when I corrected it. So if you have like in your grade book, it says needs grading, just retake it again. I gave extra time to take it again. So let me look at chapter.
Wait, Professor, what's the ERP?
What do you mean? What is it?
Like you said chapter 10 ERP. Oh, that's the name of a section?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I made it to be due. It's enterprise resource planning. So in the quiz, I've extended the date to November 8th, to this Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So everyone has another chance to take it. And I've made it that it has multiple attempts. So you have another attempt to take it. Those of you that were late on it, you get a pass, because this is now is going to be due on November 8th at 5 o'clock. So do it tonight, redo it tonight, Lauren, and let me know. There shouldn't be an issue. It's not intelligent enough to correct itself, Lauren. And AI should be able, right? Since the date has changed, I should now take the old date. But what it did is it said the old date, what the last time you took it was on the old date. It's going to wait to you're taking it again to give you a new score. It'd be great if it did AI and it would have corrected itself, right? That's what. And there's a new version of Blackboard that corrects itself and you don't have to do as much work on uploading. It will try to predict what you want. It should have predicted when I changed the date, it should have predicted, give all my students grading, but it didn't. Okay, everybody clear? So who was asking me that question? Were you, Gabrielle, asking me that question about ERP?
No, it wasn't me.
Okay, so who was that?
It was me. Miguel.
Okay, good, Miguel. So Miguel, have you done chapter 10 today?
Not today. I did it November 3rd. I just checked this said needs grading, so I'll do it.
Okay, so just redo it. Perfect. So you were early and we do it. And ERP, Miguel, stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. What does that mean, Miguel? It means that it's going to be software that what? E is for enterprise. And Miguel, what does enterprise mean?
Like a company, like
a company.
Yeah.
Do you know an enterprise? What enterprise do we know? We all know. We're a part of what enterprise?
UM.
It's an enterprise. And what does it mean? That it has more than one department. A little kiosk, Miguel, on the corner selling, let's say, orange juice isn't an enterprise. But when we're talking about a company that has many departments, we have accounting, we have admissions, we have housing, we have all the schools. That's all enterprise. And what do we have to do? We want to have then software that will go across the entire enterprise. So for instance, payroll. Do people need to be paid at the university, you think, Miguel? Of course they do, right? If they're going to be paid, then we could have an enterprise planning, no matter which department. If you were in the medical school, if you were in the law school, you could still go to one site to get your payments, right? It could be also an enterprise product, could be, for instance, student. Have you ever registered before? Of course, online, right? Enterprise planning there's a company called Salesforce, and that basically takes care of Canelink. So instead of the university creating their own writing their own software that will do registration, why reinvent the wheel? Do all universities need to have registration? Of course they do. Is it the same process? What's the difference? The only difference is the courses and maybe the professors and the semester dates, right? So it wouldn't matter. You could do that enterprise planning, and it could be in Mexico, it could be in Spain, it could be in the United States, and they could be all using the same software. The difference would be maybe one was in Spanish, one was in French, one was in English, but the way that it worked would be the same. That's what we call enterprise resource planning. And what is going to be the future of enterprise resource planning, Miguel, is before it used to be people had it on their own computers. The university had a large server. It stored the software there. You think they're doing that now, Miguel? You think the university has the enterprise resource planning on premise, that they do all the updates on
No,
their own computers?
no, they have it, I
Stored
suppose,
where?
on a cloud.
On the cloud, and they use it as an enterprise resource planning as a service. They get the company to take care of all the updates. Isn't that better? They know their software better, and we have limited resources. Maybe what our people would be doing is what? They would be, if it were basically Canelink, they would be putting in what? The different courses. Next semester, they would be putting in my schedule. And then you could then register for mine next semester. You could be, some of you that may want to do it, you could be my teaching assistant, since you've taken the course already, and I could make you a teaching assistant. And if you were a teaching assistant, guess what, Lauren? You would be paid. And where would that be? Your basically paychecks would be delivered in the enterprise resource planning. And under me, Dr. Rushanik, I would have certain students that are under me and they get paid. I would approve then what? Your basically your timesheets. And it could be the accounting system too. It doesn't matter. That's what we call enterprise resource planning. So Miguel, that was great that you put that in, right? That you have more of a use when somebody says enterprise resource planning. So you're on a roll, Miguel. So you say the first thing is it was on premise. They used to have it. The university had to take care of all the software updates. Now they don't have to. All they have to do is put the content in, meaning which classes they have or which employees they have, what is their, if they're salaried or their yearly contracts, if they're tenured, non-tenured. And then it went to the cloud. Now, what do you think the next process is going to be? Miguel, you're on a roll. Think about it.
The next process of what?
What's going to be the next trend in enterprise resource planning?
I'm not sure.
We're not sure. So if I go, one company that does it is called Salesforce.com. Let's look at this. And what do they just say right here? So what trend, I'm giving you a hint. It's like we rehearsed it, Miguel, right? What do you say? Data plus what, Miguel?
AI.
AI. Plus what they call CRM, which stands for customer, basically resource management, taking care of my customers, managing my customers. Because it's called what? Salesforce. And they say plus trust. What is the trust end of this, Dylan? What's the trust? In AI, what do we have to trust?
That they know what they're doing? That AI knows what it's doing?
I can trust AI that it won't hallucinate. Have you ever heard the word hallucinate, Dylan?
Yeah.
What does it mean, hallucinate?
I
If I
mean,
say you're hallucinating, what does it mean?
like imagining to see things that are not really there.
Exactly. And perfect. Imagine things that aren't really there. Sometimes, people that take drugs, right, get hallucinations. They don't know where they are, right? And, did you see that one about, I read something about a pilot went did like the jump seat of a plane and started grabbing the controls and wanted to crash the plane. And then afterwards, the two other pilots grabbed him and they put him in the back. I guess they put in those ties and they tied maybe they tied his ankles and his hands, and they put him in the back of the plane. And then afterwards, you know what he said, Dylan? I was depressed and I started taking mushrooms and I was hallucinating. So I guess he was hallucinating. But what is it? Hallucination based on hallucination. What does it mean, hallucination via AI? Abby, have you ever heard of hallucinations via AI?
No, I haven't.
AI sometimes hallucinates, you expect AI when you're using like ChatGPT and others to give you the correct answer. What it's now doing is, since it's in the beginning, it's predicting and it's not giving accurate information, and they call that hallucination. It's going and it's making up stories, because what's the difference between AI and regular computing is AI is creating. It'll create a story, and that story may not be based on all reality. So what companies are now doing, which is interesting, is they're creating AI, but what software companies are doing is they want to create AI with their regular programs. But what they know is companies are reluctant to use them because, Abby, it's going to be hallucinating. It's going to give me wrong information. Do I want that? Of course, Michaela, you're running a company, you're running a business, and you're an accountant and you're doing accounting or you're doing payroll. You don't want to have it give you wrong information. So they're adding to it. Trust us, we're going to be checking on the software to make sure the software is correct. And Salesforce, notice what it does. This is an ERP system. What does it mean? It's enterprise planning. And if I look at the industries it does, notice it's automotive. They make their product fit to certain industries. Why? Because certain industries behave the same. So notice communications, consumer goods, education, and look how they divide up education. If I go to education, right, they efficiently then, if I go map relevant skills to specific courses that improve workforce readiness. So what's going to have to be, Michaela, if I make you the CTO of my company, my chief technology officer, you're going to say, we're not ready for AI because our workforce is not ready. So what they're trying to do right now is do the same thing, power connected education journeys with data, of course, AI, customer relation management. Who's the customer, Michaela, you think, in a university?
The students.
Students. Do I have to keep track of the students? Of course I can. I have to keep track when they apply. I have to keep track what? When they're actual students, I have to keep track of their GPAs. I have to keep track if I'm going to retain them. It's important for me to retain them. And then I need to know who are my best students, who are my students that would be good. I'm expecting you to be with me as a student. If I'm the CTO of the university, I don't expect my students to stay with me for what? Maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. And then what? to go off and hopefully get a job and then come back as what? Alumni. Or come back as what? Michaela, you could come back and being an instructor for us. So one of the things that I want to do is if we're going to use this, is we want to have trust. So you'll see a lot of these companies, trust will be there. So Salesforce for Education, look what they say, personalized learning relationships. What do I want to do with AI is to personalize it. What do I want to do is to get insights about my data. And they say here, deliver lifelong impact, meaning I want to be in touch with, if I'm part of the university, Michaela, I want to keep track of you, not for 4 years, but after that, to come back as alumni, to come back as a guest speaker. Wouldn't that be great, Michaela? You'll start a company, I'll have you come back. It's great, the alumni are coming back. And then you'll see, what is it doing? It's going to help in student enrollment, first year retention rates. What does that mean? That I don't want my students leaving after a year. Because they said, Michaela, you came in and they said, you know what, I felt too lonely there. Or the classes were too hard, nobody helped me. Or I felt like it wasn't the right place for me. Fundraising, legacy. And they call it a journey. And then they can say, hey, we can do K through 12. We can do community colleges different than K through 12, and we can do that. So isn't that great that you can look at anyone? And then another one that's popular is what they call Workday. And if I do workday.com, doesn't it look like, isn't that funny, Ella? What do they put in right away here? Is they're adding what? AI in there. It may be, Ella, almost a way that it may be a buzzword. Because everybody, when they buy it, what do they want? They want AI. They're scared of it, but they want it. So they say embedded AI for maximum performance, right? Peek under the hood for a quick demo, right? And I bet you will find then AI, right, will help you solve your challenges, amplify. Look at this. They probably even had AI write this part of it, Ella, right? That it's basically amplify your team's performance with AI. So what they're afraid of, what is everybody afraid of, Ella? That they'll lose their job. And guess what, Ella? A lot of people will lose their job. But there'll be other jobs. So so if I am going to buy a product and it says it's AI, right, and I'm like a manager, what am I going to say? Maybe I shouldn't do AI because they may get rid of me. They only need 4 of me. They only need 4 people, not 50 people in the organization. So the organizations use AI to map the skills of their workforce, will be positioned to identify and train their employees for the jobs what? Of yesterday, Ella? No, jobs of what? Tomorrow. So I got to do this. Companies don't know what to do with it. Everybody's kind of gathering here, right, to be a leader. And notice what they say. This then Workday is a cloud, what? ERP standing, Ella, for what? What's ERP stand for? Enterprise Resource Planning for service-centric enterprises. And you see here, we're shaking, come talk to us, and what are they putting up? I'm just even saying, look what they put up. Basically, Workday, put that back up, and I bet you somewhere here is going to say AI. And they already have here a chat bot that's telling me, hi there, I see you're a Workday customer. Welcome back. What would you like to do today? They already know, they can look at my IP and already know that I use Workday. So what are they doing? They're spying on me. That's another thing that AI is doing in surveillance. Okay, so that is that enterprise resource planning. Does that make, Gabriel, does that make more sense now when you're looking at it? Miguel, does that make more sense? Miguel.
Yes, it does.
You understand? So that Miguel, that idea of when you hear that ERP, what is the trend for ERP? From being on premise to go to the cloud to go to where?
Like AI systems.
AI system. Basically, it does the work, it does the predictions. But guess what? People need to work on kind of co-pilot with it, and it's not simple. So it's just like the personal AI that you had. So let me go through what we need to do. So I can go back here. Right? So I can go back here and I can cancel. And at this point, what I can do these are my courses that I have. And then I want, what I do want to do, let me move this a little bit. Let me move this out of the way. I want to go to web links. Go to web links. Everybody go to web links with me. And on web links, what I've added, those of you that were here before is good, but what everyone is required to do then in the personal AI slides, these are the slides that they shared with us from personal AI. So if you missed the class or you didn't participate, what you want to do is with your miami.edu, you want to make sure that you've done a setup here on the laptop. They have a laptop, they have a web app, and they have iOS. Notice they're starting here. They don't have an Android app yet. And you want to join this lounge. So for our class, they've made a lounge for us to join. And we'll use this AI memory, and then they'll upgrade everybody because they haven't now, weren't able to upgrade everyone. And you can see then that this company then is looking for, what they're basically saying is then they have memories, they have those models. And what's interesting is here is in some of the other chat GPTs, you cannot train it. The owners of the company can train it. Here, they're allowing you to train it, plus using what they call co-pilots and autopilots. And this is just the beginning, and we'll see whether it works well. That's the beauty for us, is we'll evaluate it. So what I'm going to do is once we get everybody up and they've upgraded us, we'll do an assignment. And I'll give them feedback on the assignment of what we thought in generic ways. So basically, these were the idea for, basically the idea of AI is the idea of predictions and generation. What other software was not able to do was to generate new ideas rather than old. Sometimes there's what we call hallucination in there. Sometimes it's not there. And when it says decide for you, this is going to change too. When he says what AI cannot do, I disagree with him. Is I think later on AI will be able to do complex math. AI will be able to decide for you. It will take actions, and it will take your jobs. The idea where I see it, there'll be new jobs and you need to be co-piloting with it. That's how I view AI in the future. So the idea of the AI systems, we always have to start off with data. Data is king. Data is always going to be, just like we talked about it in our first chapters, right? Of data from the bits to the bytes. And where do we get our data? We can get our data from the internet, from outside the company, or within the company. And then it can go down to a person. And that's where he is scheduling it, is to look at the person. So all of this new AI has different models. One is called the LLM, is called a language model. And they have, you remember we talked about API. Where have we seen API? When we're in Zoom and I want to go to YouTube Live, there's an API that will take my data from Zoom and connect to YouTube. That's an API. And the apps basically we're using. And then, of course, what we want to start doing is automating tasks. So where I see AI really growing is those type of tasks that are repetitive, that are boring, let the agents do that. So these were the slides that he gave, and he gave the example that Microsoft's ChatGPT is part of OpenAI, and Microsoft, there was somebody smart in Microsoft that all of a sudden said, guess what? Let's go invest in this company. We'll invest, we'll take 50% share and we'll invest in it. It's probably one of the smartest things that Microsoft did, and their stock went crazy. I like this Hey Pi. Those of you that are doing mental health, look at this one. Hey Pi is by a company called Inflection. And what does it do? It focuses just on mental health. It tries to be polite, tries almost to be like a co-therapist. So those of you that are doing mental health, look at Hey Pi. I found that to be quite good. And Personal AI is this company that we saw before, and they're using for a language model. LM stands for language model. The P stands for personal. And basically, what is everybody worried about? My data, how is it going to be protected? I'm not sure how Personal AI is protecting our data. We really don't know. It's transparent. It's really not transparent to us. And this is what we need to do. That's why we're going to put in, I don't want to put in my social security number. I don't trust Personal AI for my social security. I definitely don't want to put my credit card information in there. And then they say it's for privacy. Who owns the data? They say I do, but I'm not sure that, they don't have access to my data. But that's what they are saying. What should you be aware? Transparency of AI applications. In theory, this is what everybody wants, meaning I want to see how well it works. And you see this? This is called pre-trained on the public internet. This means LLM, large language models. Who owns this? Is the company. Now, what he's saying is the personal language model is trained on the individual or brand. And in theory, what he says, it's one user, one model owned by you. And then he has something called long-term memories. You can look at it, personal language models, API for developers. So he wants other people to use his model and have basically can add on additional programs. And basically he can say you can use it if you're a non-developer. If you don't know any coding, you can still train the model. And you can have agents to do automation. That was his key. And now what he's doing is he's trying to get a digital version where you can even put in your voice. Sometimes it's creepy, right? Do you know whether it's real or not? I don't know. So you have a personal number, personal websites, all in this persona. And here he's trying to say is what is the life with my AI for brands? So it's interesting. We're really in the beginning. So that's what I love about it. We're in the beginning of this to look at it. Okay, so you have that right there of the personal AI. Now let's go to what's due. and I made some changes a bit on what's due. What I'd like you to do is 2 versions of your website. The first version, I want you to have it free. And on Wednesday, I'll help each of the groups with your projects, but basically for next Monday, instead of next Monday, I want you to do chapter 12, the quiz, the Wiley Plus. And then what I want you to do is on your projects, do a first draft of your website and put it in that URL, publisher URL in the project groups. And what I'd like you to publish in that is using the free version, and you can work together as a group, and you can assign, you can all together work on it, or you can divide it up. Notice that you can't be on the same page at the same time, but you can work via Zoom. Add the following to your website. I want a logo or a slogan for your homepage. I want you to create a team page, which each member role in the company. This should include your pictures, headshots, nice professional headshots. It should include what's your role in the company. If you're the marketing director, you're the CTO, you're the multimedia director, the social media director. And it shouldn't look like a website of BTE210, but a real company website. Talk about creating upcoming events. You may want to put in some short videos that it fits the theme. Your plans and pricing page. I would always have for each group have something free. Later on, you can worry about charging, but in the beginning, let's have somebody come to us. So definitely have a free plan and have a sponsor page, but don't put my sponsors are Microsoft, Google, but rather it could be potential sponsors. I don't want anybody to lie here. So put the truth, but it could be your aspirations. Once you do this, then begin thinking about domain names, because you'll have the Wix site there, and this needs to be published. For Monday, it has to be published so you can put the URL, so I can click on the URL and go straight to your website. And then what you would have is you can think about domain names, and here you can upgrade. And when we upgrade to the business plan, that's where we're going to be upgrading, and we'll get the code next week. I'll tell you the code, so you can put in the code and you don't have to pay. And that will be creating the accounts in the social media. So you can see right here in the Wix presentation, that's what she presented last week for the presentation. So you see that already. And the following Monday, you can see, and you can even work on these in conjunction. Once you have it and I approved your first draft, then upgrade to the paid version. And then you can even start working on this before you even upgrade, is have 3 social media platforms, begin posting on it, have each other respond to the posts, add social media handle links to your project folder, follow groups on social media, do the video clips, make sure you have completed. And what we'll do is upgrade to Wix to business, create a domain. We'll talk about it on Wednesday too, on getting found on Google search engine optimization techniques. So this will be something you already will have new skills on how to get seen by Google, about us page, bookings, and how to do Zoom integration. Again, let me point out, in Zoom integration, what you need to do is you cannot use zoom.miami.edu. You need to get a free version of Zoom so you have administrative purposes. Okay. So, any questions? So let me take attendance. Start checking. 5772. 5772. Once you finish checking, if you want to talk to me, stay with me. Otherwise, I'll see you on Wednesday. We'll work on our projects and the material. And thanks for bearing with my throat. Okay? So stay with me if you have additional questions. Okay, so Nicholas, you have a question for me?
Yes, I was just wondering if
Let me
the
just
officers are all on the Zoom, correct?
hold on. Let me just stop recording, okay? I'm gonna stop. Everybody got the checked in already? Let me stop sharing. Let me just stop everything, okay?